Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com. And it's Monday, it's August 15th. This will be our very short and quick chart lesson for the day. And honestly, I don't remember the market ever being this. I mean, it's been slow before, but I honestly just cannot remember so few trades in a day. And I really had to search even to find these green ones. And I probably don't recommend most of them. There's maybe 4 trades on here, and then I'll talk about these two up here. There's some stipulations on them as well. So, but let me show you what I saw real quick. Again, this won't take long because there's just not much here. But there was a trade right here around 7 o'clock. We're working up, obviously. Uh, this was the start of the day, so that's a new low. There's a first entry, second entry. So that's like a uh, failed second entry short right there. Uh, and you get a new high, and then it pulls back. If you were here, you could have taken that one, but that's real early. The 7 o'clock doesn't come till here, but it tries to go lower again, and there's a little shorter term trend line there. So you figure you're going to get this new high. At least you're going to test that high. It does kind of pull back and make a lower high. So really, you could have entered here again. It should at least be green, I guess. And I don't know if I would enter right off the bat here. I mean, I'm sorry, I don't think I would add on here, but if you're entering a new trade, you might enter here. It's still risky because it's so close to that high. It would have probably worked. When it tries to come lower, this is probably the better one. It's a breakout pullback long, and you can see how we're making higher lows there every time. That's generally a good indication you're probably going to push higher. So, and then it does make the breakout pullback long there. Again, those are both pretty risky. I like this one, um, but once it didn't go much higher, I'm really iffy on those. And then we do reach the upper side of the channel, and this midline's a little higher. It's kind of out of whack there. You can see this should always be equal distance. You can see that's about right there. If it's not equal distance, then your channel's not correct. So, but we push on up, and then we just kind of work sideways, and what's happening is you're going to work back towards this side of the channel. And it's kind of iffy if we really had a close outside here. You want a convincing close. That one's, I don't know if I could say that's convincing enough or not to be a break, but I'd probably assume it's going to be one until I see something I really like. But either way, I like going long there because you're going sideways and it's a failed break lower and it does reverse at the trend line. It is a second entry long too. Notice the new high, pullback first entry, pullback second entry. But there's a couple of there's about 3 different reasons. It's a second entry long. It's a failed break out of that little trading range going sideways. It's a bounce off the trend line. So there's several different reasons. And you make a little higher low here. The only reason this one is green, if you had enough room to get out here, I would call this one blue. But you don't have much room there. And really to where I've got the resistance mark, you don't have but a tick or so. So it's a little risky. Uh, but there's still some reasons to consider it because it does bounce off the trend line again, and we don't have a new high in place yet. Turns out to be a pretty good trade, but you don't know that. We get our first break here, and you figure we're probably going to move to the other side. But with only 2 ticks to the high, I'm not going to risk it. And this is similar to a repeat pattern here. So another reason to consider it. And then we just start working sideways again. And notice we came up a little short there. And you're either going to undershoot it by that much or overshoot it. We kind of overshoot it about the same. I did um, make this one green. Notice the new high, pullback first entry, pullback second entry. There's not enough room to get out. And it would have been a 4-tick failure unless you could get in a little closer to the lows here. And then it's still, uh, a relatively iffy trade. I don't think it's hardly worth it. Then, of course, you get a second entry long right here. Um, Again, if you enter with a stop right here, you don't have room to get out before those highs. and we did have a possible break and a possible another break, and we didn't get there here. So the only way I would enter here is if this broke higher and you could get in further back in here, just so you know you got enough room to get out before that high, and then it would have worked. Otherwise, I'd probably skip that one as well. And then we're just kind of working sideways. But you still should have drawn this trend line off those first few swings. And if you saw the channel working down and you got your confirmation here, you really got confirmation here, but we were still inside the channel. But when it turned down right there again, I like entering on that one if you saw the channel. And then when it comes back here again, you could enter again. And this one, you could have ridden this one down to the close because you would have had a runner there. But that's the stipulation of those two. If you're playing the channel, you don't have enough room to get out on either one of them. This is also a breakout pullback short if you're playing the channel, so you might have considered that as well. But really, I only like these two if you see the channel working down and you realize that you get a double test here and another confirmation of it here and even right here. But this is in after 2 o'clock. Otherwise, you could have added on there or entered there as well. And I mean, that's it. Again, I just don't remember the market ever being, and this is on a 1500 tick chart. So it's like nobody wants to sell this thing, but nobody's buying at these prices either. I mean, generally, you know, August part of the year, this is when the market really starts to crank up for the fall again. Once school's starting back and so forth, it's still a little early, so maybe it's going to pick up in the next week or two. Maybe by the end of this week, who knows? But just be careful trading this market. I mean, one thing I could tell you about any of these moves here, really up until here, is that these are a lot of little small bars and they're steadily going higher. And generally that's a strong trend. And it took a long time before it really sold off here. And so, you know, if you could have got into any of these, you would have had plenty of time to get out with something without taking a loss on them. So that might have tempted you to try to enter those. But once you had this possible break here and this new high, and we're just going sideways, I'd have been really careful in here. It's just not worth risking it, especially when it's just, I mean, it's like watching paint dry. It's boring. It's hard trading. You got to be patient, and you got to be able to sit here. I mean, literally, you had to wait on a good trade. Really, you sat here from 9 o'clock till noon, and there's nothing. Literally, there's nothing here hardly. So, anyway, I'm hoping it comes back soon. And I know that most of y'all probably do too. And it's hard to learn in this kind of environment because you don't get a lot of trades. Just take what you see and use it to study your charts, because again, that's the key. You can come in here and trade every day, and you're not going to get any better. What makes you a better trader is studying your trade and studying your charts at the end of the day. That is the key to it. That's why we do this chart lesson every day. One of the reasons I like to do it is it forces me to relook at my chart and study it every day. And that's how you're going to get better, is by coming in here and studying your chart every day. So anyway, I'm not going to beat around the bush. There's nothing else to talk about. It's just really, trading's really weak right now. But anyway, hopefully it's going to pick up. It usually does. When you least expect it to, something crazy will happen. This thing will take off and we'll get a big trend one way or the other or something. So, but hopefully it'll come back soon. But I'm going to wrap it up for today. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. This is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.